Son, let's talk about life over this coffee. You ever feel like no matter what you do, no matter how hard you try, life just keeps throwing you curveballs? It's like taking that first sip of coffee, expecting it to be just right, but it's either too bitter or too hot. Life can be like that, full of surprises, some good, some not so much. But you know what? That's okay. We're here to talk about why it's okay and how we can learn to embrace it, bitterness and all. Life isn't always what we expect it to be. Sometimes it feels like we're being cheated or shortchanged, like we're playing by the rules, but the game is rigged. It's easy to get frustrated, to feel like the world owes us something better. But as we sit here with our coffee, I want to share something important with you. Life doesn't owe us anything, and that's the beauty of it. We have the power to shape our own stories, even when things don't go our way. This isn't just a talk, it's a conversation between you and me, where I want to share some of my experiences, so maybe, just maybe, you'll see life from a different perspective. You remember when I told you about the first book I wrote? I poured everything I had into it. Late nights, early mornings, cups of coffee by my side, fueling my thoughts and keeping me awake. I had dreams of it becoming a bestseller, of people across the world reading my words and finding something meaningful in them. But when it was finally out there, it didn't get the response I hoped for. The world didn't notice. It was like my effort had disappeared into thin air. At first it felt unfair. I thought, I worked so hard, why didn't it pay off? But then I realized something. Just because my book didn't hit the bestseller list doesn't mean it wasn't a success. The real success was in the writing, in the courage it took to put myself out there. Life doesn't always reward us the way we expect, but it does reward us. It's like coffee. Sometimes it's too strong, sometimes too weak. But the act of making it, of savoring it, that's where the real value lies. You see, son, you can write your own story, even if the world isn't reading it the way you want them to. It's not about the applause, it's about the boldness of putting pen to paper, of living your life with purpose, no matter the outcome. I've lived in both nice places and on the streets. You might think the streets were just about hardship, but let me tell you, they taught me more than any comfortable home ever could. It's like brewing coffee. Instant coffee might be convenient, but it's the slow brew, the one you take time with, that really gives you something worth savoring. On the streets, I learned to appreciate the little things. A warm place to sleep, a meal shared with someone, the kindness of strangers. I learned that life's unfairness, its harshness, teaches us resilience. It's easy to feel like life is against you when you're struggling, but those struggles are what make the good times so sweet. It's the contrast that gives life its flavor, just like coffee. Without the bitterness, the sweetness wouldn't mean as much. So when you face tough times, when life seems unfair, remember this. It's all part of the brew. The hardships, the challenges, they're what make you appreciate the good times. They're what make the good moments stand out, just like the perfect cup of coffee after a long day. Son, I've made mistakes in my life, especially when it comes to honesty. There were times when I thought I could get by with cutting corners, with bending the truth just a little. But life has a way of catching up with you, just like how no matter how much sugar you add, you can't completely hide the taste of bad coffee. I learned the hard way that honesty is the foundation of everything meaningful in life. Without it, relationships crumble, trust disappears, and you're left with nothing but the bitter aftertaste of regret. It's not easy to be honest, especially when the truth is uncomfortable, but it's necessary. Just like a good cup of coffee needs the right ingredients, life needs honesty to be fulfilling. When you're honest, truly honest, life rewards you in ways you might not expect. People start to trust you, opportunities come your way, and you build something real. It's like finally brewing that perfect cup of coffee. Everything comes together just right, and the result is something you can savor. So remember, son, always choose honesty. It might be harder in the moment, but in the long run, it's what will give your life the richness and depth that you're looking for. Life is unpredictable, son. You never know what's going to happen next. It's like trying a new coffee blend. You don't know if you'll like it until you take that first sip. And sometimes you'll love it, and sometimes you won't. But the important thing is to keep trying, to keep embracing the uncertainty. There was a time when I didn't know what tomorrow would bring. I was scared, unsure of what my next step should be. But then I realized something. Life's uncertainty is what makes it exciting. It's what keeps us on our toes, keeps us moving forward. If everything was predictable, where would the fun be? So I started to embrace the uncertainty, to see it as an adventure. It's like when you try a new coffee shop, you never know what you're going to get, but that's part of the thrill. Life is the same way. Embrace it, son. Don't be afraid of the unknown. It's where the best stories are made. And remember, every time you face something uncertain, you have a choice. You can either let it scare you, or you can let it excite you. Choose excitement. Choose to see life as a grand adventure. Just like trying a new coffee blend, you never know, you might discover something amazing. Speaking of discovering something new, you know how we've been talking about making our morning coffee a little more exciting? There's something I've been adding to mine lately that's really given me a boost. Something that makes the coffee not just a drink, but an experience. It's nothing fancy, just a little something that turns a regular cup into something special. If you're curious, you can check out the link below. It's made my mornings brighter, and who knows, it might just do the same for you. Life is full of choices, son. Some are easy, like deciding how you like your coffee, black with sugar or maybe a splash of cream. Others are harder, like choosing the kind of person you want to be, the kind of life you want to live. But here's the thing, every choice you make shapes your future. When I was younger, I didn't always make the best choices. I thought I could get away with cutting corners, with being less than honest. But life doesn't work that way. It's like trying to brew coffee with cold water. It just doesn't turn out right. Eventually, I had to face the consequences of my choices. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary. The good news is, it's never too late to start making better choices. It's like switching to a better coffee bean. Once you do, you never want to go back. Start choosing honesty, integrity, and hard work. These are the things that will build a life you can be proud of. A life that's rich and full, like a perfectly brewed cup of coffee. Son, life isn't fair, and it's full of uncertainties. But that's what makes it beautiful. It's like coffee. Sometimes it's bitter, sometimes it's sweet, but it's always worth savoring. Embrace the unfairness, the unpredictability. They're what make the good moments so much sweeter. Remember the stories I've shared with you today. They're not just about me, they're about you too. You have the power to turn your life into something extraordinary. It won't be easy and it won't always be fair, but it will be worth it. And whenever you need a reminder, just sit down with a cup of coffee and think about these moments we've shared. Life, like coffee, is best enjoyed with someone you love. And before I forget, if you want to make your mornings a little brighter, don't miss out on the special something I mentioned earlier. It's a small change, but it's made a big difference for me. You can find out more by clicking the link below. Trust me, it's worth it. Now let's finish our coffee and get ready for whatever life throws our way next. Because no matter what happens, as long as we face it together, I know we'll be just fine. So here's to life, with all its bitterness and sweetness. Let's embrace it fully, today and always.